This weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Now I see the building sky high. More life, more trouble, but a man can't try. Step in the same circles which you once called home, searching for something in common. Don't tell me love's all gone. Right and left, black and white, war of sexes. Who's wrong, who's right? Corporation, gentrification, as we progress till there's nothing left. Almighty dollar, some say pound, you tell me money makes the world go round. Almighty dollar, some say pound, you tell me money makes the world go round. Keep my focus up.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Weigh-In. Well, it wasn't the Derby day that we expected, but the racing, it was supreme, and we enjoyed a wonderful victory by Rocket Spade, taking out that Vodafone New Zealand Derby. Michael, great to be back with you in the studio following those downgrade of the alert levels, level 2 now. So good to be back and get into some of this top racing action.
Yeah, hi and big hi to everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Monday night, if that's in fact when you're watching this. It was a surreal day. It was really odd to be at Ellerslie when the crowd is such a part of Derby Day. It's obviously usually their pre-fashion day as well. I think Andrew Scott's emotion after the race filled so much of that void for many people watching at home, and for those of us who were lucky enough to be on track. I still think after all of what happened last week, and even the rain that came and we thought would change the complexion of the race, Emily, the favourite still won, and probably the right horse still won. So so much to dissect tonight. There's a lot of really interesting moving parts about what happens next with a lot of these horses. A couple of surprises for you tonight about horses going to places I didn't see them going. And we'll talk to Paul Wilcox from Ellerslie about, Emily, what's really important is, do we have a cup day where we can all go and celebrate the races?
Oh, I really hope we do. Let's get into that racing review, and we kick things off with the Group 1 Vodafone New Zealand Derby.
He shows. Here they come from the back. Front man moves around on the outside with Jason Beltry right there next as they come towards the corner. We've got out wide. Milford looks to run on as well as they swing for home. Many chances in the derby. 350 to go. Milford ranged up the front man. Over on the inside of them, Rocket Spade is starting to bob and weave his way through the field. Further back then we've got If He Shows and Illafar. Then Montre Moir running on late, but down to the 200 metres. Rocket Spade, front man, Milford. These are the three, I think, that are going to fight out the derby. Rocket Spade's just in front. Rocket Spade, Milford in front man. Rocket Spade won the derby. Second over photos, Milford in front man, then Illafar. With it also, If He Shows, Tukorangi.
Mate, not used to this level of emotion. Is it relief, happiness? What's going on?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both, Mike. It's just such a long build-up. You sort of, it takes 12 months to get a horse like this to here. And then, obviously the emotion of sort of the build-up of last year, and then it's just sort of falling over the last hurdle, and then, just getting to today. And I think just the emotion part probably comes through it for the O'Sullivans and for Lance and Craig, to go and buy the horse, bring him back, and, hopefully buy a Derby horse for Hermitage, and actually for it to all happen. It's, it's just what we dreamed of, really, 2 years ago when we bought the horse. So, no, it's a fantastic result.
Still need the rider to do the job. Craig, were you thinking to yourself at the 600, there's a lot of horses in front of me here?
I was, Mick. We were probably going to get back from that draw anyway. Didn't plan on getting that far back, and at the 1300 they really put the handbrake on for a bit, and there was a few runners sort of started taking off out wider, so I sort of thought this is my chance to save a bit of ground as they scoot out, and he's travelling that good underneath me. I just hope I got the gaps, and I did.
I saw you didn't go for the whip much in the straight. Was it a case of on the softest track trying to help him get to the line?
well, I just didn't want to, probably more if anything, I just didn't want to go for the whip as early as possible, save that as a bit of a last resort. So just want to get there too soon on them. But yeah, no, that was a huge buzz. Like, to win that for Lance and Scotty, they've been probably my biggest supporters of my career, and very, very thankful to them. So no, it's very, very emotional, and it's really good. So I've a big thanks to them, and also to Hermitage. I've won a few good races for them, so I'm very thankful to them too.
You've won a derby on a long shot. Is it different winning a derby on a horse like this when the pressure is on, because you're on the favourite and you're part of the team?
It probably is a bit. There's probably that psyche, like when I did win it on outside, I probably, even though you probably shouldn't think like it, but you're sort of going out there thinking, I don't really have much chance, and you end up winning it. But I definitely probably did feel a little bit more pressure today, but at the same time, it's just another horse race. So I was just trying to go out there with the same sort of mindset of any other race.
Back to you, Scotty. Any chance he heads to Sydney? They wanted you to win a derby. Any chance you might win two?
Well, yeah, we're certainly looking. That was our plan pre-today. Obviously, he's got to come through the race in a manner that suggests you can go there with confidence. But it's probably heartening to see him handle the wet ground today, and that's what's in front of him over there in Sydney. It was heartening to see him. This is a true staying test today as far as derbies with the ground. So, we can go over there with a bit of confidence. If there's yielding ground, he's going to handle it and stay on. So, yeah, look, we'll be looking to do it, providing he comes through in a manner.
Does he eventually end up in Hong Kong?
That's a really good question, Mike. I'm not sure where his future leads, but I'm sure that'll all be sorted out in the wash over the coming months.
What did you learn from Dragon Leap's failure in this race last year? Not that it was a big failure, because he was still in the top four. What did you learn that helped you train a derby winner today?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We took, the debrief of last year. We sort of came away with, the long and short of Dragon Leap. He's talented, and he's a wonderful miler, and possibly a 2,000 metre horse. But we just sort of brought it back a cog. Just everything what we were doing last year, we probably overanalyzed everything, and we sort of just trying to do too good a job, where we went in with a little bit more relaxed this year, and and just took a deep breath about things. And even the way we rode this horse today, like, we just said, look, let the horse do the talking and just let him stay well, and and it's worked out.
Well, whatever they did, they had him absolutely cherry ripe for the big day, and he delivered for punters. I saw an interesting tweet actually from Aidan Rodley earlier today. Rocket Spade is the 5th colt to win the New Zealand Derby since 2007, after Jimmy Choo, Puccini, Mongolian Khan and Crown Prosecutor, and he is the 9th Derby winner to come through the Avondale Guineas in the past 10 years, the 6th in that time to win both races. So it's a really good form race, the Avondale Guineas, and you thought he was the horse that would win, but there were a lot of talented types, and I reckon, Michael, those top 3 across the line, they're going to go on to some bigger and better things.
Well, I think once the rain came, a lot of people weren't sure what was going to happen, because it races more like a 25 or a 2,600 metres, and that's why they rode him cold. I wasn't sure he'd cop the wet, but his dam actually won 3 times in the wet over distance, so you never sort of know. And after all of what happened, the potential of it going to Hastings and changing a day, and the rain coming in, really heavy rain on the day, Emily, the horses who had actually won lead-ups at Ellerslie over 2,000 metres plus ran first and second.
Yeah. And
Frontman had run second in a 65 over 2,100 2 weeks earlier. So the form transferred across quite nicely even after all the drama. I spoke to Scotty today, and he said the horse has pulled up beautiful, so we'll get no issues, but the Rose Hill Guineas is very unlikely.
Okay.
So they have 3 options. One is to go straight to the ATC Derby. The other option is to go to the Tulloch, which is where Murray and Andrew are considering taking.
And Stephen, I think,
Frontman.
too. Yeah.
And potentially Stephen. So all 3 of these horses could end up in the Tulloch, which is the week before the Derby, and then go to the Derby after that. But they are still very keen to go to Sydney. I think eventually there's a good chance, obviously, because of the ownership, he might end up in Hong Kong. But that would potentially give him a chance at 3 derbies, because of course their derbies later in the year. I thought Milford was really good in second. I thought he's still very new.
Very like Frontman in how they profile, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're both horses on an improve, that you feel another derby would be okay for both of them.
And I think if your horse was beaten in the Derby, Emily, I think everybody would say, okay, I can sort of see why. Wet track, it was a tough race, it was run a bit upside down, there were a couple of big lead changes. If you owned a Tokarangi, or if you owned a Montre Moi, you wouldn't feel like, okay, my horse absolutely can't stay. There's just enough moving parts to how tricky that was. I thought it was a really exciting derby. I thought it was a really exciting day. We'll get to the other features later on. But at this stage, the top three potentially heading to Sydney, and we'll talk to their connections about what they are going to think about what happens next and where they might go, including a couple of the beaten runners.
One of the things we loved seeing on Twitter, and I think it was Instagram and Facebook as well, was the celebration of returning that New Zealand Derby trophy home to Lance O'Sullivan's house in the celebration. There was a lot of familiar faces here. This was just awesome stuff. You couldn't have a party on course, but you can most definitely have a party at home, and well done to all the connections. There's Andrew Scott coming through the door, and you really got the feeling of that emotion. It was just great to see everybody getting around a celebration.
It's easy to think for somebody like Lance, who's won so many big races, like he won the Japan Cup. It doesn't get much bigger than that back in the day when he won it. That this would be a bit, okay, yeah, cool, we won the Derby. That emotion from everybody at home was really touching.
Yeah.
And particularly for Scotty on track on the day. So they worked really hard. I think last year's Dragon Leap stung, and it wasn't their fault. The horse just couldn't stay. He just exhaled at the 200, and that was the end of him for that race. But I think they're really, really happy they managed to go that step further with this horse. Back-to-back Derby wins for Fastnet Rock, who's only had 15 runners in New Zealand this year.
Gosh, yeah, Avantage, of course, one of them.
For 10 black stakes races.
Yeah.
For 10 stakes races.
Unbelievable.
Quite remarkable. So
there was those couple of horses on the rail I thought went really good as well. Sam Weatherly's mount came around the field and really burned at both ends.
And the horse who took off in the middle stages, they both did a super job.
Yeah.
It was easy to go into the race thinking it's not going to be a great derby because it didn't have the feel of, oh my God, we're going to see this. And there was no Aegon, and there was no Brando, and there was no Emeralina. So we had a few things taken away from us for the derby. But it'd be interesting to see how it pans out.
Yeah,
It might be a derby where some of these horses are significantly better 4-year-olds than they are 3-year-olds. But Sydney will be the telling point for that because, the staying 3-year-olds over there might look good at 1600 like the other day in the Randwick Guineas. Whether they're as good at 2,400 metres, they haven't proved to be over a long period of time. So I think we can go over there pretty confident we've got chances in the derby.
Yeah, very confident. We know how to bring one home, so I think we can always be confident, can't we, when it comes to a staying race in Australia. Let's have a listen to what some of the beaten trainers had to say post-race.
Well, you got Whitest on the track. You must be pretty proud of your horse. Lee's done a big job.
Yeah, I thought he went really good. We always wanted to get him out and get him into the clear and give them one good crack at them. And, he's still just that little bit green. You see he won't sort of quite get his head down and really attack the line. He's still pretty new to the game, pretty raw. He's an improving colt, and he can head to Sydney now, and he'll run in the Rosehill Guineas through into the Derby. And he's going to keep getting better, and I think even by the time he gets to the AJC Derby, he'll be the complete product.
How do the logistics of going to Sydney work? I presume you can't go. You've got a whole bunch of horses at home, so how does it go?
Well, it actually works out quite good. Todd, who is our racing manager, he's just moved to Warwick Farm. So he's got the box ready with Annabelle Neesham, so we'll fly over, he'll look after him, and hopefully win the Derby and send him home.
And Todd will be totally unpaid for this money?
Absolutely unpaid. It's about time I got something back out of him, so this will be his time to shine.
Have to be happy with that, Murray?
Yeah, very good run. Thought he was a chance. He was booked on the plane to Sydney tomorrow. We're going to take him over, but we'll put it off for a week, let him recover. But fourth run up was a good run. He missed the start at Matamata when they called the meeting off. He's sort of been one race behind.
So you're still thinking the ATC Derby is a chance, but maybe go through the same race that your last couple have gone through?
Yeah, probably go to the Tulloch at Rosehill, 2,000 metres a week before, hopefully, and then into the Derby.
Well, not a lot went right there for Tokarangi.
No, just the usual, but it was still a huge run. To be running home like that in those conditions, wasn't entirely happy. That's just been her luck all season, and I still thought she went super.
Okay, is she on the plane to Australia now, or is there a chance she goes to Trentham for the Oaks?
No, she will not go to the Oaks. That was a pretty tough run today. I think it would just be too much. But still need to talk to all the owners, still need to talk to Mike. We'll see how she pulls up. We'll work out a nice plan for her. I presume it will be Australia.
Thanks to all the trainers for giving their thoughts post-race. That was the Group 1 vote for New Zealand Derby.
Just checking in with you, what did you make of Montre Moi? Because he seemed to come home really, really good.
Yeah,
He just got
really
too far
good.
out of his ground.
I know from just watching the coverage on Saturday, John O'Bannon was just gutted with the run. He just didn't feel that he'd had the rub of the green. I had huge doubts about him staying, but I think they've been put to bed because, geez, he hit that line strong, much like we saw actually in the Karaka Million, where he came with that great late finishing burst.
He'll be the interesting one to hear if he wants to go to Sydney as well, because you know, he looks like he's a good 1600 horse, up potentially now to 2400. So I didn't manage to get hold of John O'Holly today, but we'll keep on top of him and see where he's going. But
if you've got a fit well horse, why don't you go? Yeah, really.
I think we've got 5 or 6 horses, good 3-year-olds, and some fillies to add who are going to be in Sydney. So we're going to have a lot of interest in the carnival.
Yeah. Exactly right. The undercard was also particularly strong at Ellerslie on Sunday. Let's have a little look at the Sunline Vase, which was taken out by Amaralinia.
And also Yolo, then St Elizabeth, homeward bound, 350 to go. Slave to Love over on the inside in front here. Now we've got Amaralina out wide, raced up to Needle and Thread. And behind these then is Dragon Queen, followed further back by Spine Tingle. And then Yolo, Amaralina, she's all out here. Gee, Needle and Thread's giving a great side on the inside. Amaralina hard pressed, Needle and Thread's going out after her from Dragon Queen. Amaralina and Needle and Thread. Oh, gee, I don't know. I can't split them. They're a wide apart. The angle will favour her, Amaralina, but Needle and Thread, if you're on it, you're a live chance. I kid you not.
Well, that was very, very brave from a very, very good filly.
It was a brave effort. She had to make a couple of little runs during the race, but no, she knuckled down and had a crack, and she probably got there in the middle of the track by herself a little bit and couldn't quite see the other horses. So and the track factor as well. So I think going forward, and if we get a good track at Trentham, she's going to be hard to beat.
It looked an annoying race to ride, and everybody just seemed to want to get in your way.
Yeah, Slave to Love just kept coming back in my lap for about 400 metres, and in the end I had to get up and get outside it, and that's when I had to make a couple of short dabs just to get into the race. But no, to her credit, it was a good effort.
I know Jamie wanted to try and win, but win as comfortably as possible. Well, you've had to ask her for a proper effort because she couldn't see the other filly. It must be encouraging heading towards an Oaks the way she did reply to that.
Yeah, it was actually. You know, she's got a bit of fight in her, and she relaxed beautifully during the race. So I don't think we were any worries about the 2400. It's just be nice to get a nice draw and just a nice suck run, and a good track.
How's the weight holding together? It's been a tough last couple of months. You've had a couple of days where it's been particularly tough. You seem to be comfortable enough at the 56.5 at the moment?
Well, it's never comfortable. I had to work a bit hard, but it's better than it was a few months ago anyway, so I'm not getting all these fines, that's for sure.
It must help when you're on this sort of cattle, when you're riding horses like you've been riding all day today. It must be easier to stay focused.
It is. I've been riding these horses for the last all season really in the track work and watching them come up, and it's quite exciting. I was just letting myself down with my weight, and when you see other riders riding these horses that you've done all the work on, it's quite depressing really. But I'm give myself a kick up the butt, and I'm back here again.
Great comments there from Opie, but geez, if you took the $1.40 around Amaralinia, you were hyperventilating in the closing stages. Actually, you were hyperventilating after the line too, because it was a whisker in it, but she showed a lot of heart. I don't think you can take anything away from the second horse either. Massive improvement from Te Rapa, and they're both really classy, and it's going to make for a cracking Oaks.
Well, I reckon she might have covered 5
lot more ground.
or maybe 8 more lengths than the winner. And I'm not disrespecting the winner. She's obviously a very good horse, and she's already won a Group 2. But you just got the feeling Amaralina wasn't really enjoying that experience as in regard to the track and horses getting in her way. And it was a very un-Opie ride, surging from the 800, which is not usually how he rides. I thought she was fantastic. Most importantly, I was worried after the line that might gut her because she's got to get on the float to Trentham. So I rang Jamie today about a whole bunch of horses, and he said, we're thrilled with her. He said, like, she had the 3-week gap leading into that race, which has really helped us. He said, but often on a soft track, some horses will come out of it better because they don't get any concussion on their joints, and they quite enjoy the experience of the softer track. He said, we think that's the case. So if you backed her in the Oaks, or you want to back her in the Oaks, he's really confident even that the horse is still going to be fine for the Oaks. There's no issues there in his mind at this stage. And well, of course, and as will the other people on track, so I'd update you as we get closer. Second horse, really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to make a case for anything behind those two that they're going to turn it around in enough time for the Oaks, because it's now only 12 days away. There was also the Lowland the other day at Hastings. I'm not saying the winner of the Oaks wasn't in the lowland, but I doubt it was because Amaralina's been so good at Needle and Thread's obviously a high-class filly. Tokarangi, we heard the words there from Pam Gerard, doubtful. Mike Moroney said today in print, not totally no for the Oaks, but I just get the feeling she's not going there. Lana Cord was really good the other day, we'll see that in a second. Once you start getting into the second bunch of those, I think you can make a case, yeah, I would want to have a place bet in the Oaks, but I'm not really sure you want to be backing these horses to beat Amaralina because I thought the 2100 there on a slow, and it was pretty puggy by that stage in, raced pretty close to what the stamina rating for a 2400 is going to race.
Yeah, you'd have to think it wouldn't. She's eaten it up, no problem. And often at 3, they can get away with running the 2-4. Maybe it's not their ideal distance, but in their own age group, they can get away with it. These classy horses, and Amaralina is most definitely that. Let's cast our minds back to Hastings because we had one of the key lead-ups to the Oaks. In the Lowland Stakes, Lana Cord was successful in this one.
Controlling it, goes for home now. Providence provides off, it's back to challenge. And then Can You Handle It, Gentle? And Lana Cord letting go in the middle. Levelling up with Z Falls, who's trying to fight back. Lana Cord, Z Falls. Late then, Passione still there. Can You Handle It, Gentle? Starting to charge after Lana Cord now. And late Charms Star down the outside. Walking on the one-bladed grass. Oh, I don't know here. I don't know. The jockeys
Grimly held on to the win there in the Lowland Stakes, did Lana Cord. A special mention to Mappley Stud and all the work they've been doing because Lana Cord is a daughter of Contributor, and of course we'll get to it later on, but the Randwick Guineas, the Group 1, was also taken out by progeny of Contributor. So big well done to them. He was such a classy horse, Contributor, and it's great to see his progeny delivering now on the track. A boost for New Zealand breeding.
Well, it would have been great if it happened 2 months ago. Obviously, you can't make up the timing for these things. Pretty good filly. She's shortened a long way in the market, and look, she was really brave there. I'm not saying that these horses can't win the Oaks, but you get the feeling that the race we saw yesterday was maybe the better form race. But again, they've still got to travel there. They've got less time to recover, and we don't exactly know how that slog yesterday is going to affect them. So I think there's quite a few moving parts to the Oaks, but it'll be incredibly difficult to bet heavily against Amaralina when you consider she lost her first start. The only horse to have beaten her since has been Agon. So she's clear favourite for the Oaks, and the news from Jamie today was really heartening.
It is, and I'm sure he does know her better than anybody, so to hear him with that positive feedback post-race, really good if you've taken those short price odds in the New Zealand Oaks. Let's get you along to another rising star who was a winner in the King's Plate. Entre Vierre took out this race in dazzling fashion.
Rockin' Affair, the leader, leads a length and a half from New York Jazz. Wider out then is Bavella. Out in the centre, looking to run on now is Spring Heat. Then 2 lengths away, Summer Passage on Trivier. Will have to get on her bike shortly. She's about 3 lengths off them, but now starting to put in at the 250 across the track. Spring Heat. Here comes on Trivier, ranged up on the outside. Battling on is Bavella on the inside. Oh, have a look at a serious horse this on Trivier. Gee, that's big. Second over Bavella. Third at the line was Spring Heat, I think.
Are you finding her surprising?
Yeah, she's going really well. Just keeps stepping up to the mark and turning into a real excitement machine. I love her turn of foot and love the way she pins her ears back. You can't train that into them. That's her wanting to be a racehorse.
You've got the best sprinting mare in the country in Avantage, so you have a good idea of how good they need to be. Is she getting close to being good enough for that level?
Don't think there's any doubt she's going to be good enough for that next year. I'm not sure what lies ahead for her for the rest of the season. I'm of the belief that she's good enough to go to Australia at some stage, but we don't need to rush into anything today. So we'll just take our time and make a bit of a plan. But she's certainly going very well.
You would be reluctant to extend her out to the mile for Tiara home in a month?
Yeah, it's just going to come around too soon. She enjoys her races being spaced, and she's a lightly framed sort of mare that can only continue to improve. So 1200 and no further at this stage until we see her relax a little bit better mid-race.
You talk about Australia, do you talk about Sydney, or are you talking about Brisbane?
There's plenty of options for her, and the good thing about her today, as she's shown, is that she can handle a little bit of give on the ground. So that opens up a lot of different options for her. There's some nice races in Sydney, there's some nice races in Brisbane, but let's just see how she does in the next few days and then firm it all up.
Gosh, she's exciting, isn't she, Entrevier? Every time we see her, she puts in a better and better performance. And I felt like Sunday was another one. It was another step up in class and grade and conditions against her with the off track and the being drawn out. When she lets go, electric. The turn of foot she can put on them in a matter of strides.
Well, she carried the same weight in that race as Spring Heat. And Spring Heat obviously ran second in the Telegraph. And you would suggest Avantage wouldn't have beaten her much easier. Avantage probably would have beaten Spring Heat a little easier, but the way she beat Spring Heat in the Telegraph is comparable to the way Entrevier beat her there. Now, there's a massive update on her. I spoke to Jamie Richards tonight, and he said, we are considering Sydney and the next planned race. It may not come off, but the planned race is a race called the Sapphire Stakes. That's at Randwick on the second day of the carnival, so the second day of the championships. Group 2 for the fillies and mares. That's a huge step up, but he said, we think it's the right race. So at this stage, and things can obviously change because she's still very new, they're looking to go to Sydney. Oh, that's pretty exciting because she can handle that track, as you saw. Group 2 would add enormously to that family, and of course, next year she has telegraphs and railways and all sorts of things she can play into. So I thought they might try and extend her out about a couple of months ago when she won Karaka Million Night. I thought they might try and get out to 1600 for their Tiara breeders, but that's a no. They are looking towards Sydney if, in fact, she races again this campaign. That adds another really interesting horse for us to the Sydney campaign. And gee, it'd be exciting to see her go across there and win a Group 2 sprint.
I'm excited for a Avantage, Levante, Entrevier little taster, I reckon.
Travelling Light, all those mares together.
As well.
So it's, but Sydney's the plan anyway at this stage. And that's, I think if she doesn't go to Sydney, we won't see her again this autumn. I
heard Jamie asked on Sunday, what do you think her ideal distance is? And he said he's been asked that a lot. And it's intriguing to know what is. Well, she's by Tavistock, so she could get over more ground. If she can show that turn of foot at some of those staying distances at like a mile or something, so dynamic, just so much untapped you feel with her. And with the patience that they're showing with her, she could be anything moving forward.
It's weird to think that she might be the 5th best female horse they have. They've got Melody Bell, Avantage, obviously they've got Probabile, and they've got Emeralina. So you can't put her in front of those horses, and there's probably some others I've forgotten about. It's quite remarkable to think how much female strength they have there. And some of these horses you go, David bought this at the sales for this or that, and therefore anybody could do that. Well, obviously Melody Bell was 57.5, but this is a horse they found almost from nowhere, like out of a mare who was just knocking around in the CD with
Kevin Gray.
With Kevin Gray and his family were involved in it. So,
and I think Jamie's grandparents are in the horse as well, so that's pretty cool for them too.
It'd be a tremendously exciting horse to be part of. So look, we don't have many sprinting mares go to Australia. So as I said, the form through Vavella, who's a good horse, and Spring Heat is strong enough to suggest if she comes back next season, she can win a railway.
Yeah, just from a New Zealand racing perspective, I think it's just really awesome to have these great horses going around and being able to enjoy them. Another excitement machine was Need I Say More, who took out the Mufasa Stakes on Sunday in pretty electric fashion.
Then Holy Head and Moana. Homeward bound, 3:50 to go. It's the filly. Babylon Berlin. She's 5 lengths in front here. Need I Say More being called upon. Looks to run on strongly now. Here's Cornflower Blue down the outside. Back and behind them next into Opalescence. It's Babylon Berlin. Need I Say More's ranged up alongside. He hasn't quite got her yet. It's now Need I Say More from Babylon Berlin. Cornflower Blue. Oh, he's too good. Need I Say More. Just loves winning.
That's 2 pretty good wins at Ellerslie for Need I Say More, and he does the job again in pretty workmanlike fashion, doesn't he? Babylon Berlin set it up, Michael, and he was able to just peg the horse back and get home well. I thought Babylon Berlin loses no admirers and a really good return from Cornflower Blue. She'll no doubt have plenty of improvement in her.
It's funny, I saw this horse as a real speedster. I think most people did, Need I Say More in the spring, and he was quite light. He couldn't hold his condition through races like the Hawke's Bay Guineas, and of course he went to Riccarton and things just didn't pan out. He's holding a lot more condition now, so he's just matured and he's a thicker horse, and Babylon Berlin was outstanding. The really exciting news out of this race, which was touched on yesterday with Aidan on trackside, is he heads to the Wellington Guineas, 1,400 metres, 12 days' time, Group 2, as does the third horse, and she was fantastic, Cornflower Blue, but serious horses waiting there for them. Brando is coming back from Australia, he's heading there. Karma Lass,
yeah, Group 1 winner.
1,000 Guineas winner, back from Australia, she's heading there too. So
Would you mention Bonham?
I'm pretty sure Bonham's
Yeah.
going to go. Well, last time I spoke to Jono about her a couple of weeks ago, she was going to go. This could be one of the 3-year-old races of the season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really exciting. I'm not sure he's a 1,400-metre horse exactly. Maybe he's more of a speed horse, but he'll get those horses with a big fitness advantage over them. So
He won.
it's going to be a great race.
Waikato, 1400.
Sarta Memorial?
Yeah. And won it. Well.
Yeah, up against the Raleigh, he bolted in that day. So look, it's a pretty exciting thing for Wellington. Wellington's got a hell of a meeting coming up next week. The Oaks is going to be really good. The St Ledger. We'll talk more about the Lightning a little bit later on. A couple of Southerners coming for that. So, but that 3-year-old race outside the Karaka Classic will probably be our second strongest 3-year-old race of the year, or close enough to it.
And that could bounce you onto a Brisbane Carnival, you'd think, which is a natural stepping stone for some of those horses to pick up maybe Group 1 wins.
It's going to be a hell of a race because it's interesting for Jamie what happens after those horses. Like basically what happens with Brando. Do you bring it back for one start or do you go to Brisbane? Same for Carmelas. So yeah, interesting to see where that all ends up.
Yeah, exciting stuff. All right, let's get you along to our next review, and it is the Nathan's Memorial. It was a bit of an upset caused by Just a Boy Bullseye.
Rosso out wide is looming up on the outside now, and behind these Daytona Red, battling away also. Next was Lockwinnock. Vito Rosso took over at the 300, leads a half length on Lockwinnock. Just a Boy Bullseye, Daytona Red, and behind these down to the 150. Vito Rosso, Lockwinnock, Just a Boy Bullseye's trying hard as well, and as they head down towards the line, Just a Boy Bullseye, Vito Rosso having a great battle at the line. Just a Boy Bullseye, I think, just from Vito Rosso, Lockwinnock and Daytona Red.
Well, I know you don't know, Irina, if you're going to the Auckland Cup yet because you don't even know what the late entry fee is.
I know that it's a reasonable amount, as in over 10,000, but I don't know exactly how much.
He's a lovely old boy, isn't he? An old gentleman, and today he just kept on trucking.
He did. He's actually had problems with his feet, and he's been under remedial farrieing, so he has to wear bar shoes between his races. And he just gets on his plates on race day. And I knew he'd come right, like his feet had come right, but we were behind the 8 ball because of fitness. So all the runs up till today the 3 runs in this prep, he hasn't had full fitness. So the Tarapa run topped him off. So I knew today he was up to full fitness.
What's the main decision-making process around whether you do or don't go to the Cup on Saturday?
Probably whether my partner wants to use the money to buy a bike.
A motorbike?
Yeah, that's right.
Congratulations on today. It must be great to come to, I know, a crowdless Derby day, but win a big race, a proper race, the Nathans, take on the big boys and come out on top.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. But I knew that if we got the right run, he could do it. Because as I said, I knew I had the horse right and I knew he was fit. So, I did have a query on the ground because until he actually learned how to be a racehorse, because when he was younger, he didn't know what he was doing. We actually haven't run on a soft track. We've only run on, his wins have been on a good track and a dead track, dead 4. And I know he hates it heavy. So I was a little unsure how he'd run on it, but he obviously liked it. And I knew that at this company we had to get the right run. And the run just panned out perfectly for us.
Let's talk about your stable. How many horses does he have as stablemates?
Well, there's a lot of horses on the farm, but there's currently only 2 in full race work. One, his half-sister's just come in. So he's got a half-sister by Redwood that's just come in. And we've got quite a few hanger-oners, rehab horses. So there's about 17 horses there altogether, broodmares, his mother included. But I'm working 10 horses a day. That includes breakers. Yeah.
It's great to meet you, and I think a lot of people are thrilled to see a different face winning a big race on Derby Day.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think it's good to know, I think it's great to see the older horses coming to their own at this age. You know, a lot of people, he would have been thrown away with the bathwater when he was younger because he had no idea what to do when he was a younger horse. I'd say most bigger trainers, he would have been a riding horse by now. But it just shows you that if you wait for them to mature and work out their craft, they can reward you.
Well done to Arana with that victory. And did we hear if Her partner got the bike, or whether we're going to an Auckland Cup?
Couldn't get hold of her, so look, I think they'll probably go, or unless there's a new motorbike being purchased down Morrinsville.
Roll the dice again, you get even better bike if you win the Auckland Cup, surely.
It was. I love talking to people I've never met before. It's a cool part because we spend so much time talking to Murray and Andrew.
You do like to talk.
And Jamie Richards. It's good fun meeting people. I like meeting new girls, Emily. It's fun. Don't be harsh with me. But I hope the horse goes. I think it's awesome to see it win a race on a big day like that. Here's the Auckland Cup market. I have absolutely no idea who's going to win this.
Throw a dart at them and hope for the best. There was such good runs, wasn't there, through that Avondale Cup? I mean, you could have watched it 10 times, noted down 10 horses that you thought might be able to do the job.
Be interesting to see if Cinerama turns up. I haven't spoken to Al about that. Sound can't pay $3.20. That's way too short. What'll also be interesting is heading into this week what they do with the rail, which would have taken a bit of pounding the other day, the inside track, whether they
said on Sunday they were hoping to bring it out about 4 metres.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what they said on Sunday morning.
I think it's a good, even, fun Auckland Cup, and I think there's a lot of room to develop this week and see how things go and see if, in fact, the rain comes again. So, I think it's a good race on what's quickly becoming a great race day coming up this Saturday, and we'll hear from Paul Wilcox later on whether you can pop along.
Oh yeah, fingers crossed you can. All right, let's get you off to a break, and on the back of that we continue with our Ellerslie review and we get into some other key races from around the country. Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors. Welcome back with us on Weigh-In as we continue our review process through that Ellerslie meeting. We move along to Prix de Feu, who took out the first race on the programme in a 5-timer for Jamie Richards.
Of the tail, watch this pace. They head for home at the 350. Beauty Star, the leader. Prix de Feu ranged up on the outside. Raised in command in between the two, still battling away. And now Charles Subao down the outside. Good battle developing here. He hasn't got it all his own way. Prix de Feu. Beauty Star's giving an awful fright on the inside from Charles Subao and Raised in command. Prix de Feu just in front. Trying hard on the inside. Beauty Star, but he'll get there. Prix de Feu, the favourite, wins the first on Derby Day.
Beauty Star gave a good sight, but Prix de Feu too strong in the closing stages, and he picks up another win to add to his record. It was the start of the day for Jamie. It kicked off with a win, and just unbelievable to train a 5-timer on such a big day like that. And when you hear the statistics of him being mentioned, having trained more Group 1 winners than Aidan O'Brien at the same age, we should be so proud of what he's achieving on the world stage.
It gets to be almost a bit blasé when they win group races there, like, oh, okay, that was not unexpected. This is the second time, of course, he's trained 5 on a feature day, trained 5 on Boxing Day, trained 6, but one of them obviously got taken off the horse through no fault of his own. So he's trained 5 twice now in the space of 2.5 months. This horse will head to the Japan Trophy or whatever it's called now. It's might have had a name change, so a Tauranga for him. And look, he's a tricky horse to manage because he's not quite Group 1 win the Livermore good enough, but he's also very high in the weights to go anywhere else. So they're doing a pretty good job with him. I think they've had a few issues. They've finally got him where he wants to be. As we had heard on the coverage afterwards, he was doing some eventing type work or some dressage,
yeah,
which
with
is pretty cool.
I think Sarah West, who works for Tiako. Yeah.
And when you spend a lot of time around really good trainers asking them lots of questions, as you would know from the ones you've worked with, that ability to change scope and say, we're going to do this, whether it's swimming or jumping, obviously, or a whole bunch of different things is really important because not all horses are the same. And it would be really easy for them to factory train because they have such a big stable. But that shows that there's a lot of thought going into horses who may struggle to be in the top 10 in the stable. Prix de Feu would be the best horse in most people's stable, but he's probably not in the top 8 of theirs.
Yeah, exactly. No, individual attention going a long way.
Just another person who I wanted to mention early in the day. Early in the day, Clinton Isdale produced a really nice horse,
really
and Tina
horse,
again, and Lindsay Satherley rode it beautifully. And sometimes it's not going to make the show tonight because there's so many good horses to talk about. But big congratulations to those guys. It was a stunning performance from what might be a pretty good horse.
Yeah, really let down well in the closing stages, didn't it? So let's get you along to Super Pursuit, who was also pretty impressive on the programme for Richard Collett.
Pacemaker Might from Breeze On travels up and heads it off immediately. Coming after them, Manrico. Super Pursuit about to join them. And behind them, the Dom. Mai Tai, she's still about 3 lengths on them. Then battling on out wider, Rockin' Horse. Down to the 200. Super Pursuit made the lead. From on the inside, Breeze On, Manrico, and out wider, Rockin' Horse. Super Pursuit. Rockin' Horse trying to pick it up. Mai Tai just ran out of room short of the line. Super Pursuit will win it, I reckon, just from...
Super Pursuit really good getting the win, and Rockin' Horse coming with a good late challenge, but Super Pursuit hanging on pretty strongly. And well done to Richard Collard and the Calder team, Michael.
Yet another nice winner for Prasia, who should have a good carnival with Levante turning up there next Saturday. Spoke to Richard tonight. He said we're going to the Open 1400 at Tauranga, so that's in a couple of weeks on the 27th. He said maybe an Easter, it's possible, but he's not sure he's going to cop 1600 just yet. He'll find out more after the Open 1400. And he said Super Strike, the other super horse he's having a really good time with, it's more likely to go to the Easter, so it's going to have a 3-run campaign into the Easter. So really exciting time for Richard. He's got 2 horses who he can take
Super
to...
Strike, the other one, of course.
Yeah, exactly, a whole bunch of other places. So, yeah, but he's a nice, big, strong horse, imposing looking type of a horse.
Yeah, exciting stuff. All right, let's get you to Paul Wilcox, who can give us an update on what's going to be happening this weekend with the second day of the Auckland Carnival.
Well, not the Derby day you planned for, Paul, but you must be very proud of the team for getting it off the ground, getting that stake money into owners' bank accounts and having a Derby day.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first thought process that went through my mind Saturday night, the Derby has to be run. And not only the Derby, but the undercard as well, because there's so many important races. For example, the McKee Sunline Vase for those horses going on, particularly into the Oaks. So, yeah, really proud of the team. They activated the plans that we had in place, and what more can you ask for?
We move forward and we hope that we can race here on Cup Day, Saturday at level 1. That's the indications from the government that at the start of the weekend, we would be looking to go to level 1. When do Ellerslie's team make a decision around whether the gates are open to the public?
Look, it'll start becoming more clearer as the week gets further into that week next week. What I would say is probably, hopefully by Wednesday, the Prime Minister will give us some understanding of what the weekend looks like coming up. Then we'll make a decision, because the worst thing we can do is try and pull the trigger too late. So all I can say is to your viewers and all the people listening to this, ellerslie.co.nz, and that'll keep everyone updated of when we're going to pull the trigger and go for it, because it's going to be a hell of a party.
Just talk about the logistics around that. You have to employ staff. Many of them are casual staff to look after people. You need to have food on the premises. You need to bring all the staff and to serve that security, the whole lot. I presume once you book those people, is it a case that they're booked and they need to be paid for, or do you not want to book them until you're guaranteed you've got a race day? Because surely there's a period of time that these things need to happen by.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael, and probably the best example is today, what we've seen today. We're still paying for all the marquees. They're up, right? So we're still having to pay for those. Lucky enough, we bring a contracted workforce, a larger contracted workforce on, so it can be as late as a day before to get those people. So we won't get stuck with that. It's more the food and the infrastructure that needs to go in, and unfortunately, once it's up, you've bought it.
If, we hope, we're back to level 1 for Saturday in a proper Barfoot and Thompson Auckland Cup Day, do we have the Cuvée Open afterwards? Is it going to be the party day that I think many people in Auckland and New Zealand racing are really craving now, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to make it a real big party. Obviously, after the last, as would have been the case today after the last, we would have opened it up and had a right good go of it. I can say it's probably going to be doubly as big next week, because if we can race and with people, it's going to be a hell of a party.
Where are pre-sales at? I take it most of the hospitality, the cuvées and so are probably sold for Saturday if it goes ahead at that level. Is there anything left for people who think, yeah, okay, I missed Derby Day, I'm pretty keen to get to Cup Day?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have sold a lot of those corporate hospitality precincts, but all I can say is ellerslie.co, that's going to have all the updated information around what's still available. We've got a massive area for the public to come along. And that'd be great to see them turn out and support our cup.
And a big well done to all of the team at Ellerslie for adapting in really difficult conditions during this week, this Auckland Cup week. Let's get you down to Wingatui now, where we had some exciting racing, including the NZB Insurance Stakes. The Gift successful.
And moving up on the outside, the Gift moved up alongside of Kitty Cougat, who's got the run. Sweet Hunter out wider with Show 'em How It's Done. Starts to run on with La Power. Going to the lead, the Gift. La Power's trying to run on. Ocean Point the middle. The Gift in front. La Power tries hard, but the Gift has broken away. It's been a great performance, the Gift. The Gift has won from La Power. Ocean Point, Show 'em How It's Done. Fetacan flying.
Really well-deserved win by the Gift, who'd been knocking on the door to produce a performance like this and does get a well-deserved win. I understand from, I think it was Twitter actually, that I was reading that the Gift was gifted to Robert Dennis by Brendan and Joe Lindsay as part of an initiative to give horses to up-and-coming trainers. And great to see from both sides that this is working out. A great opportunity for Robert and a great thought by Brendan and Joe.
Well, she might end up being the South Island filly of the year. So that's where she's heading. She leads that series or co-leads that series at the moment. Spoke to Robert tonight. She's going to head to Riccarton for the NZB Insurance Stakes, I think it's called, the next one, and then the War Step. And they think she'll get the 2,000 metres. He said Jacob Lowry said it won't be a problem. So she has to be favourite now for that series. And yep, she might. Well, after that, he said, depending, we might look at Queensland.
Okay.
So they might even look at Queensland to get away from the deep southern winter. So she could be seeing a bit more of the Gift before she finishes her 3-year-old season.
Well, I can't blame them for wanting a Queensland winter much more pleasant than New Zealand. Let's have a look at live drama as well that took out race 6 on that programme at Wingatui too.
The runner, Johnny Jones peels out 3 wide, then Enzo's Lab, Miara Mary, and last of all, Golden Guru, Spring Blossom in front. Live Drama's got the run now. Favourites powering through. Ricardo's next in the middle. Johnny Jones on the outside. Live Drama, though, hit the lead. Live Drama burst away. Johnny Jones tries hard, but Live Drama too good. Live Drama has won from Johnny Jones. Third.
Relatively painless watch, Live Drama getting home to take out the 6. Michael, your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, good mare. And Lance Robinson's not going to muck around. She gets her chance in the Lightning at Trentham. So another horse who's winning on the weekend going to Trentham. That's 12 days away. So Lance said, look, we're going to have a go. Give her a chance at some serious racing. That'll probably do her for the season. You look at that and go, well, is she good enough to go to Trentham? We've said the same thing about that many South Island sprinters in the last 5 years, and that Wingatui Riccarton form heading to Trentham's been outstanding. So good to have Lance with another really good horse. He said after that we can maybe pull stumps and look at all those sort of stewards, those types of races, the Pegasus for her next year. But exciting horse, and great to see some more South Island representation going to the capital in 12 days.
Let's have an update around the Jockey and Trainers Premiership. Here's a look at the Trainers Premiership. 28 group enlisted wins for Jamie Richards after a very successful period yesterday or Sunday at Ellerslie. Just over $4.5 million in stakes. Stephen Marsh, 6 group enlisted winners, and you've got Alan Sherrick and the Pitmans in behind them.
Yeah, I think we actually failed to mention that last week because Jamie obviously broke the record last week, but I think Andrew Murray's record for black type wins in a season in New Zealand was about 21, 22.
Wow, okay.
Or something like that.
Smashed that record.
Yeah, and that's been smashed already, and there's a fair bit more to go. Obviously, there's the Satima this week, and there's the Bone Crusher this week. Danielle's on 13 herself. Craig Grills gets to 10 and well over the $2 million in stakes after he had a good weekend, of course, winning the Derby and second in the Sunline. So some big, big numbers being put up by both our jockeys and our trainers. But yeah, well done to Jamie. I forgot to mention that last week. He now holds the record for black type wins. And of course, that doesn't include Australia. Probabeel, by the way, gallops tomorrow morning at the Valley. The Valley tomorrow morning, Damien Lane in the saddle to prepare for the All-Star Mile coming up on Saturday.
Oh, can't wait to be reviewing that on Monday. Hopefully we're saying we've got an All-Star Mile coming back to New Zealand. Quick break and then across the Tasman for the Randwick Guineas.
Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Across the ditch to Australia, where the Kiwi flag was flying high in the Randwick Guineas. Maybe not the horse we anticipated, but Lions Roar successful in the Randwick Guineas.
as they straighten up now in the Guineas, and Marcinet leads the way by a length on Pelter. Then Hair to Shock, Wheelhouse coming into it now. Lions Roar down the outside, getting past Aegon. Further back to King's Legacy and Prime Star. Lions Roar coming down the outside to join Harmony Rose. Wheelhouse between them, but Lions Roar is roaring away with the Randwick Guineas, and Lions Roar an upset victory. Mo'unga's come from a mile back to grab second in front of the filly.
So many talking points around this race. Lions Roar obviously is a son of Contributor who stands here in New Zealand at Mapleys Stud and was purchased from the NZB Bloodstock sale and really delivered in strong fashion. John O'Shea obviously trained Contributor, a great result for him, and he couldn't sell a lot of the horse, so he gave a bit of the horse to his parents and he said, you just take this, but I can't sell it. And here you go, now they own a Group 1 winner, so good on them.
Yeah, so cool for Mapleys Stud. It's really hard to keep these stallions, you know, get them into the country, and now he's got that kickstart he really needs, so people will be wanting to buy those. Mo'unga, excellent in second, but obviously
how good was he?
The big news out of the race was Aegon.
Yeah.
I spoke to Andrew Forsman at length tonight. He said, we're not making any panic decisions, we don't need to. Now, we have two options. The Randwick Guineas, the Rosehill Guineas being the next of them, that's 12 days from now. I get the feeling he thinks that maybe the horse didn't back up because he's so used to having his races spaced. And I would suggest maybe he won't turn up there, but him and Murray are still discussing that with the Zame family. I think a better option is the Doncaster.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think...
Freshen him up,
lightweight, mile. It's hard to make a case he's going to beat these other horses. He's obviously wildly drifted in that market back out to $13 after getting into 7s or 8s, but I think it's the way they might go, but they're a brains trust. They know Sydney better than anybody in the last 5 or 10 years, so
and they
they'll
know
make
the
that
horse
decision.
well. Andrew knows the horse really well, so the right decision will be made. Just going back to Mo'unga, who is obviously a progeny of Savabeel, jeepers creepers. When Tommy Berry hit him behind the saddle, he took off like a rocket. I would see it very hard to see him beaten in the Rosehill Guineas.
And that's what you also look at if you get Aegon. You say, are we going to beat him over 2,000 in 12 days' time? What's going to happen to an AWAS to do that? I reckon the mile suits him a lot better, and the spacing of the races suits him a lot better. But as I said, the right people making that choice. What about Flemington on the weekend?
Australian Cup.
Wasn't it amazing? The Australian Cup are really emotional when one of the co-owners of Homesman, Michael Gudinski, who's a famous music man in Australia, passing away during the week. And he was a great friend of Nick Williams and lots of people in New Zealand. The Valla family know him very well. And he's passed away during the week. And how often do you see these remarkable fairy tales in racing that Homesman manages to get his head down on the line? Here's Matt Hill with a great call.
Parody, Homesman still coming, then to Fibrillate. Homesman moves up to best of days at the 100. Best of days and Homesman. Best of days and Homesman. Homesman with the music man cheering above, and also best of days.
Well done to the connections of Homesman, and certainly an eye-catching run by Defibrillate as well in Graham Richardson's colours. That is it. We've completely run out of time here on Weigh In. We hoped you've enjoyed the show. We've managed to cram so much in, Michael. Great to have your company this evening.
Just one thing for people to keep in mind. Wednesday, we're expecting to know, unless there's more COVID cases in Auckland in the community, Wednesday we're expecting sort of semi-confirmation. It's all go for Saturday. So if you have a chance, Saturday could be open to the public. We're hoping that we can both be there.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. Look forward to seeing you next week, same time here on Weigh In.